Hey, everybody, it's Rick and Rob talking about real estate. How are you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing great. Are you kidding? It's another start to a wonderful week.
Right? It's a beautiful day, no matter where you are, let me tell you. But, I think what I wanted to do is dive a little deeper into a conversation we had a couple weeks ago about where you think the market might be going this year, maybe into next year, that type of thing. And maybe talk a little bit about, maybe new construction or things that you're doing to help your agents in a time like this, because obviously when we're seeing a shortage of supply and the demand is high, there needs to be a way that we can work around that and maybe have a look at some new ways of marketing and new ways of selling and becoming an agent and being an agent in the business and continuing to be successful. Because obviously the real estate market, if we can look at the last 2 years, is not going anywhere. If the real estate market did go somewhere, then you and I have bigger concerns than, than the houses not being sold. You know what I mean? And that's a global thing, right? And so maybe you could just touch on a few things that kind of relate to what we were talking about before there, and I'd love to hear your opinion on that stuff.
Yes. So on the issue of the demand in the market, the demand is very, very strong right now. For those people who are thinking that new construction is going to satiate or bring balance into the marketplace, it's not. In average years, new construction sales only make up 15 to 17 or 18%. Maybe that's even high. This year, new construction sales may make up 20, 21%, and it'll be a record, an all-time record. Right now, there are more homes contracted with builders, with builders that don't have a shovel in the ground yet than in history. The backlog of homes to be built and already contracted is through the roof. A lot of factors involving labor, materials, spiking cost of materials. We've all heard about the lumber, and it's ridden a bit of a roller coaster, but it's still unusually high. So the cost of building is higher. Land costs have gone up. As demand for new construction has increased, so have prices. But in its best year, only 1 out of 5 homes will be new construction sales. So that still leaves 4 out of 5, or 80%. 80 or 75% of the homes. It'll be about 80%. However you do that, I got twisted, but it'll be 80% of the homes that need to sell need to come to the market in a resale capacity, and that new construction isn't going to satiate the demand. And as far as the demand goes, new household creations have been, if you look at a 10-year run, it's the lowest decade in recorded history, I think. But it's that also because of COVID interruptions, fewer people are starting out on their own. They're staying more nuclear. The average size of a family per household was going up. And I think now we're starting to see, okay, as COVID has kind of released its grip, or is releasing its grip, we're seeing household creation start to pick back up. As we see that, it's just going to fuel more demand, because rental rates hit an all-time high in the country last week. And so renting is not a great bargain. If you can find the house you want, people want to buy it. They want to get a piece of home ownership to start building their net equity. So demand is still high, supply is still low, as you referenced. New construction is only going to satisfy 1 out of 5, or about 20% this year. And so we need to be in an environment where people are taking that next step and buying their next home.
Do you see that across both luxury and the standard market? That
Yes.
The inability to find product. I mean, or do you think that maybe if people are trying to sell in maybe a housing price, as an agent, they're trying to sell in a price where maybe it's a little low or something like that, where if they try to elevate themselves to maybe selling something that's a little more expensive, they might have more product there to sell?
Yeah, well, Rob, I actually track that and check that on a monthly basis. Entry level to median price point is always more scarce than luxury. Luxury homes have there's a reasonable supply. It's still very low by historic standards, but there's a greater supply relative to demand than entry to median priced homes, and that's why you're seeing the greatest price increases in that entry level to median price as a percentage. The other thing that happens on the luxury is financing becomes less important. When you get into the over $1 million category, the interest rate, people have different sources for money. They have more cash on hand, and so the cost of housing finance becomes it's still important at $1 million, but it's less of an impact. People have more options in that price point. And as the interest rates go up, we're going to see continued loss of affordability. So that'll soften the marketplace, which is exactly the intended impact of the Federal Reserve to cool the economy.
What do you think the Fed's going to do over the next year? What do you think the Fed's going to do over the next year?
Well, there's no question about what they're going to do. They're going to raise, whether they raise 4 times, 5 times, or even 7 times, as we started to hear lately, or they have 4 increases, but they're half-point increases instead of quarter-point increases. The rates are going up, and the rates are already near 120 basis points higher than they were a year ago. So when we say they're going to go up, they already have. The cost of buying that home has gone up dramatically because of the first 100 basis points. A basis point is just a fraction of is when what happens. You have 100 basis points in every 1% of mortgage interest rate. So if we say it went up 100 basis points, all that means is 1%. So 120 basis points has already happened from this time approximately last year, and that's driving prices up. But likewise, rents are going up too. So the relative value of rent versus own, it's still much better to own the property because you start paying into your own equity. You pay yourself for your residence instead of paying a landlord. Yeah. So
nice.
Too much information.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe, but.
No, never too much information from Rick Haase. I mean, hey, right? Like, I mean, when we're talking about what's happening after, because, talking to people over the last 2 years, right? We're a busy agency here in Vancouver. We talk to brokers all over North America every day, and mostly in the United States. And obviously one of the common things is, the shortage of supply and et cetera, and that type of thing, and trying to figure out a way around that. And, whether it's people refinancing in the mortgage industry or people figuring out new ways to do business in the real estate industry, I think that this time of a correction in any kind of industry is a good thing, because this is the time when you come up with the systems that work when it's the hard times. I think we touched on this before, but are there any systems that you think that a realtor or a broker owner could start employing for their realtors or get them more involved in that could, maybe elevate their careers a little more over the next year that would improve the results? I know I kind of tied a lot into one question there,
well, no,
but you know what I mean?
That is a lot. That is a lot, but what you're, at its core, what you're really talking about is, as an organization, you didn't ask me, but I'll tell you, as an organization, we're focused on giving our agents the tools they need to succeed. You do that today, whether it's marketing or technology or however you define it, whatever category you put it in, there's a workflow platform that operates in the cloud so that you can get to it, whether you're using a laptop, desktop, a cell phone, tablet. You can get to your office, wherever you have access to that device. And the productivity platform concept is that you can help, you need to help, and we are helping our agents reach more people. Because if you think about it from a sales perspective, and that's the business we're in, is serving people and marketing. Our agents are marketing themselves religiously. But if that pie starts to shrink, then all that's necessary is there's still plenty of business. But you need to be able to navigate the changing environment so that your agents, our agents, are getting an increasing piece of the pie. That's it. And I mean, I hate to be so graphic and simplistic about it, but if the pie starts to get smaller, you just need a slightly bigger piece, and then you're navigating and you're growing your career instead of being a victim of the market and all of its ebbs and flows. And that's what we're stressing with our agents now all over the country is know your number, know the tools and services that you're going to employ to market yourself, and get busy every single day doing it. And if you do that, you'll navigate the market changes. You won't be a victim of it, and you'll have a great career. And it's been that way, since I got into the real estate business a long time ago.
So there it is. Sound advice from Rick Haase. Get to work, or get out of the, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rick,
Yeah, good
great to
to-
see you again. I'll
well,
cut
you
this. We're
know.
probably going to go long. We get talking and it's, we love it. But thank you everybody for watching today. Rick, always a pleasure seeing you.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you again too. Looking forward to the next one.